Hello, 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 fellow Supermoms. Nadine here with yet another episode of the Special Needs Supermom podcast. Today I want to talk to you about, over planning and self-worth. It's kind of part of the Tackle Burnout series that I'm releasing today in the coming few weeks. Because I had a bad week. I felt off. I was emotional as. Couldn't. I had the feeling I didn't accomplish anything. All those things on my to-do list. I didn't even have that much stuff on my to-do list. Just didn't get to it. And yesterday evening, it was about 6:15, and I was knackered. And I told my kids, I just came home from grocery shopping, and I said, just going to sit in my office, just give me some time, because I need to recharge, because I was so tired. And I sat down with a cup of coffee, and I went like, but why am I so tired? Because I really didn't do anything that much. I ran around like crazy. So I must have been busy because I hardly sit still. And I never really take the time to Netflix during the day. Reading during the day. Find it really hard. I'm finding it really hard. And yesterday was definitely not one of those days. But when I got a burnout, a special needs mom burnout 2 years ago, one of the exercises my therapist gave me was when I said, but there are days that I think I'm really busy, and because I haven't sit still, and yet I can't accomplish anything that's on my to-do list. He said, but do you realize as a mom how much you actually do during the day? And how much time that takes? I want you to write for the coming 3 days, write in your journal everything you do with a time frame. Everything. From, making coffee to unloading the dishwasher to walking the dog to answering a phone call from your mother-in-law or anything like that. We'll get to that later. Write down everything. And it was one of the exercises that made me realize I do way more than I thought. And also it costs me way more time than I thought. So I was sitting down yesterday, feeling tired, feeling not that great about myself. Really, burnout is a bitch. Oh my gosh, different topic. And I thought, let me do that exercise because I feel really bad that I didn't accomplish those 2 things on my to-do list. Yet I was busy all day. So I got my journal out, I got a pen, and I just started writing down the times, you can hardly see it, the times and what I did. So wrote down the time and what I actually did. And I did a lot. The funny thing is I did a lot and we did a lot of stuff. I did it for other people, or I felt guilty about how I was going about. At the moment, it's boring. So I don't know if this is going to affect the podcast, but if you think, well, what's this weird background noise? Huge storm. So I was writing down everything I did, starting with getting up about 7:45, maybe 7:50 a.m. And I already felt guilty because really I slept in. Because I should have gone up way earlier so I had more time to do even more stuff. And at 9:15, I started walking the dog. I'm like, but what did I do in between? I did like 3 or 4 laundries in between. Putting it in a washing machine, not in a dishwasher, washing machine. I can see that happen though in the future. Folding laundry. It's not, you don't get a Nobel Prize for it. part of the problems, I think, that I don't feel that I accomplished something. But it takes a lot of time. And I always thought, oh, if I do the wash, it's about 15 minutes. No, it's not. Especially if you do more and you're going to fold the laundry and put it away. Afterwards, I was so proud of myself because I go to quilting class. Officially, it's like every other week. I tend to make it once every month. And I made it on time. And I really like it. It's only 2 hours. But it gets me out of the house. And you can say, yeah, but you can quilt at home. At home, there's always something to do. So I really look forward to it. I'm way younger than the rest of the ladies, but it's nice. And for some reason, quilting numbs my brain. I just do that. It's really nice. Some interaction with other women. But the first thing I did when I got there was emailing a client. And emailing another person and forwarding some documents because I felt guilty about it. And they just asked a question, and it was not like that if I didn't respond right away, the world would have ended. Not at all. So it was not even an urgent thing. But I thought, if I've done that, I can relax. But that was 15 minutes of the 2 hours of quilting I do once a bloody month. I'm learning. And then I left, normally it's still 12, but I left like around 11:30 because I promised I would be at a networking event, an online networking event, and I already cancelled the week before. So basically I was there for a good hour and I felt guilty that I wasn't there longer and I didn't do more, and so guilty about getting up at 7:50 a.m. in the morning. Guilty about, doing some email work when I was there and leaving early. Then I already approached the network event feeling guilty. I didn't want to cancel because I canceled the week before. But there are a lot of people. I'm not the keynote speaker. To be honest, it was the first time in like 3 years I attended one of those events. It was really nice. Because turns out they're all mompreneurs, 2 of them, and I was in a group with also special needs. So it was actually really nice. How do you do that? Oh, your kid is about to, one of the ladies I talked to, her kid was about to, in the process of getting an autism diagnosis. So she was dealing with people asking, well, why would you want that? And also mom guilt. It was really nice. But I went, not because I had really like the time, but because I felt guilty. Or I would have felt guilty, I was afraid to let down other people. Really, that's not the best intention. Then I had a quick lunch with my daughter because I felt guilty. She's 16. She just finished her finals. She just wants to binge watch Chicago Fire or Chicago Mets for the coming few days. Totally happy. But I feel that I have to engage into something fun. And she's like, really, go away. And I said, we're going out with the dog. Let's do that together because it's good for you if you just get out of the house. Better for your body. So I'm focusing on her. But let me first just do a few more things. Another laundry, cleaning up in between. By the time it was like almost 3 o'clock, I think the dog was like, I need to pee. It kind of got dark outside, so I told my daughter, you know what, I'll just do a quick walk with the dog. Not realizing that there was a weather alert that went out. So it was hilarious, to be honest. But we were walking and halfway, it wasn't even pouring. It was just one giant bucket from heaven that went. It was hilarious because it had been really warm. So you could see the people like me that were, oh, oops, we didn't think this through outside. Really, you could just laugh. So people in the cars were laughing because I was laughing. It was really funny. But yet, when I came home, thankfully the kids took care of the dog, but you have to take, like I said, there was not a dry thread of fabric on my body. That takes a lot of time. Then I had to clean up all the wet mess and everything. I didn't even have a coffee break, really. And I was thinking about all these other people. Quilting, networking, clients, kids. So it was 4 o'clock and I promised Wonderboy we were going to an office supply store. I needed stuff for myself, but he was going to tag along because he needed some stuff for his pencils. And he's in the middle of his exams at college and it relaxes him. So I thought it's really important that we get there. And I have half an hour. I'm going to sit. I've got half an hour for myself. And then my mother-in-law phoned. And I picked up. And I shouldn't have. You don't have to pick up the phone. You can be at work, you can be busy, you can be driving. I didn't, and basically she wanted to know how Supergirl her exams went. So I was talking to her, kind of feeling guilty because she likes to pay you guys never call, well, you have a really busy life and you have all the time in the world. Different subject. Difficult relationship. And it was not fair to her either because I was talking with her, but I really didn't want to. So it wasn't even really pleasant. It was just, I was answering her questions, but I really was in my mind. And I think you can notice that, like, come on, bro, I really have to hang up. And it would have been way better if I just would have not picked up and sent her a message, can we talk in the evening? Because we do much better than we did 20 years ago. Tough relationship. Anyway, it was yet another person. I felt guilty for not picking up the phone. Focused on her. So I had half an hour for just me. Didn't do that. And at 4:30 I thought, no, we're going to that office supply store. Other side of the town. So I already knew this is going to take me at least an hour, if not longer. And I'm glad that's one of the things I learned to calculate better. Because normally, I think it takes this much time. Normally, it takes way much more time. So we came home, well, a good hour later, I think. Then I had to get the groceries. I could have asked a kid to do that. Anyway, I did that myself, so it was before I finally sat down. It was 6:30. My husband already phoned me saying it's going to be late again. I don't know what I'm going to do with dinner. And I already said, we'll make some extra. It will be fine. And I told the kids, I'm going to make dinner late, so grab something. Mama needs a moment. So I finally sat down at 6:30 and I felt crap about myself because I had been running around all day thinking about everybody else. And even though I went to quilting, I rushed it. I rushed everything. And then it was 6:30 and I still didn't do the 2 things that were on my to-do list. Like, what the hell did I do? And that was the moment I started writing down all the things I did, all the things I just mentioned. And it was really one of the things I learned in therapy that, when I thought going to the grocery store to just pick up a few things, that's half an hour max. It's not really, because I have to get there. Before you know it, you're in that grocery store for half an hour, especially if you think for a few days, or I have a list, but then I thought, but that's on sale, it's really handy, let me just pick that up as well. So I'm always have way too much stuff with me, And that's not handy, especially if you go on a bike. And I tend to go with my bike. And at 6:30, I felt really bad about myself. And I remembered this exercise. I wrote it down. And I'm like, you actually did a lot. No wonder, and it was good that I took some time for myself. And I just doodled. I really like doodling. And, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you can see my little mini-me, my stick figure doodling. And I just do it for me. And I really like it. So it recharged me a lot. Because afterwards I felt re-energized. I was able to have nice conversations with my kids again. Because, they're both, they're 16 and 18. And they have all the stress of their exams. And they have all their hormones. And then with me being in, menopause, it's so much fun. And then if you don't take time for yourself, it's just a disaster. Or snapping at your kids, just a moment away. And that hour I do that really for, I think, about an hour. Journaling first, making me realize that I actually did a lot. And that's another part of the, I think, problem that sometimes special needs moms have. So I wrote all those things down. You don't get the Nobel Prize for it. Yet they're really important. My special needs kids thrive. Because at home, everything is taken care of. And I don't mean that they don't have to do chores or something. But I mean, there are clean clothes and there's not a total mess. And I'm great at finding I've got an exam in 5 minutes. Where's my calculator? Maybe I shouldn't save them. But and I actually did a ton in the house. But I really don't like it. And that's one of the things I really struggled with when I became a full-time, well, you're always a full-time mom, but when you have to really give up and grieve your old dreams, your old career, who you were. For 8 years, I really had I really struggled with saying, what are you? And I'm a stay-at-home mom. And I could hardly say it. The funny thing is, I had no problem with it in America. When we lived in the States and we were stationed in Kansas. Why not? Because no one judges you there about being at home as a military spouse. Why? Because I don't know. I think where we live, it's all about making a career, and you and your husband should have an equal career, and also both should have all the opportunities and take the opportunities. And I was the one saying, we can go abroad. Yes, let's do that. And had no problem quitting my job in corporate. But when we came back from the States, and there was a lot going on, and my husband wasn't home during the week. And yes, you can say, well, maybe he should have. Why? Why would we both, in that way, sacrifice our career? Well, maybe you can say that, sacrifice your career. Because he was doing really well, and I'm easily bored, and also our kids. So my husband was away during the week, and that was a choice we made. But it costs a lot of energy, and we had a girl that needed to go to the hospital a lot, therapy a lot, and then we had Wonder Boy, and we already found out before and after school care, before we went to the States, that was not an option. Not an option. Yes, you can force it on him. And yes, there is special needs after and before school care. But the only thing he really needed was come home and relax. And I was so happy to provide that. I didn't even with all the medical worries with Supergirl and the struggles and the self-worth of Wonder Boy, I really didn't have the brain space. With a husband that was deployed every, well, I think we're lucky every few years, but he was away a lot. A lot of maneuvers, I think you say it. I always remember a Canadian comedian, and he talked about maneuvers. Eddie, I don't know what was his name. Hilarious. Google Death Star Canteen. That is by him. Lego Death Star Canteen on YouTube. It's really funny. Anyway, I didn't even have the brain space yet in the Netherlands. The moment we came home, even before, did you already find a new job? When are you going to go back to working? Like what I did was not enough. It was judged that I didn't have a corporate thing going on, that I stayed at home because that was really easy. Even when I got out of hospital with a double pneumonia, husband about to be deployed, I felt guilty sitting on the couch when the kids were in school and just, relaxing. I was getting better. And I would feel guilty about all the people walking. In the Netherlands, you can really see in the windows of people. And so if you live close by, the sidewalks are not that big, and people walk and cycle a lot. And if people would look into our living room, I felt guilty. Because what would they think? Because I was sitting there. But actually, as a special need, and so that was one of the problems, and still I think still is a bit of one of my problems, that because, so I was a stay-at-home mom, but I always wanted that career thing. So if I did not have that, who was I? But if you see how much we do as special needs moms, all the driving, all the therapy, all the at home, really, we're the at home therapists, because there's so much going on. If our kids are sick, if there's something going on, their everyday meltdowns, especially when they just came home from school. If you're homeschooling your kid, it's exhausting. But yesterday evening, my husband, I had to pick him up, turns out, in another city. Because there was a big storm yesterday. All the trains. there was no way you could travel by train anymore. I think lightning struck somewhere. So I had to pick him up in a different city. And I had to do that. I think he phoned me at 7:45 p.m. when I was making dinner. So at 8 p.m. I was rushing my dinner. So I could pick him up. I didn't mind, because by that time I was recharged, because I took that hour for myself, and I actually really enjoyed driving by myself, because I can listen to the podcasts I want, I can listen to an audiobook that I want. It's great quality me time. And I had my coffee in my new Starbucks mug. So happy zone. Anyway, if you have a really bad day, and you have the feeling you haven't accomplished anything, I suggest you write down everything you did, like I did, with the times. And not just laundry, but I actually folded and reloaded, and I did this, and I cleaned up the beds, and all those steps. And then if you write all that stuff down, you see how much you actually do in a day. And with that, and if you also, like me, tend to underestimate how much stuff actually takes, writing it down really makes you not only see what you did, because on paper it has a different impression. In your mind, you're like, but if you see all those lines and all those times, you're like, holy crap, good for me, And it also, if you write it down, with all those times, it helps you see, oh, wait a minute. I never realized, for instance, I always thought that, going to the grocery store, half an hour max. No way, because I have to get there, get back, put all the stuff away. Only that is already 45 minutes. So why I thought going to the grocery store is half an hour, no idea. So it's actually a great exercise to help you realize how much you actually do. And the whole self-worth about the stuff you do, that's, I think, a topic for a separate podcast. I already kind of talked about it, but, do realize that, yes, it's not Nobel Prize stuff, but it means the world to our kids that there's food on the table, that there are clean clothes, that because there is stability at home, you create stability for their minds and their needs, and kind of also for your needs. So, and especially I think for tasks you really don't like, give yourself a compliment or maybe a little gift. Every time I do my taxes, which I really hate, for my business once every quarter, I buy myself something nice. First of all, I have great music on, but if I have to do something that I think taxes is not even the biggest part. That's just good music on the background, but stuff I find really difficult, and sometimes that can be picking up the phone and really having a fight with a service provider or a care provider for the special needs of my kids. And because I know it's going to be difficult, I'm dreading those phone calls, dreading them, and procrastinate the shit out of it. But when I finally did something like that, no matter the outcome, I compliment myself. So give yourself some credit. For the coming 3 days, why don't you write down everything you did? Everything, with the time frames. Just not everything down. Not underneath each other, because then you can see how much actually you do, and you see how long that list is. And no wonder that if you then also have a to-do list with extra stuff, just noticing how much the everyday stuff costs, can make you realize, oh, I only have this much time actually left in a day. No wonder I can never finish my to-do list. So let me wrap this up. Because I was going to do like a 10-minute episode, but I can't. And I feel a little bit better now. My hormones, I think, are a bit better now today. Oh, yes, menopause, ladies. Be a little bit nicer to yourself. And I think I'm going to make this podcast part of a tackle your burnout series or something. So watch out, because I think I'm going to upload probably several. One of them being find the reason for your burnout, because I had 2 burnouts, I think. Or you have burnt out and having a burnout, different things, but we can feel burnt out a lot. But there can be several reasons for that, and that helped me realize with my therapist as well that, what's the reason behind it? What can you do then about it? That's for next episode. If in the meantime, please do me a favor. Please rate this podcast if you like it, and share it or mention it, review it, rate and review. That would really mean the world to me. And it also can help. It really, I think, is the only way that other special needs moms can find this podcast as well, and feel that they're not alone, and help them find and recharge their superpowers. For now, it's Friday here now. It's getting dark and the storm is getting worse. I hope you have a lovely weekend or a lovely week whenever you're listening. Take some time for yourself. Seriously, stop saying yes to everybody, trying to please everybody. And, you know, you're really worth it. If you see how much you actually do in a day, no, doesn't get a Nobel Prize, but it makes for the best possible care for our kids. And with that, I don't mean that your house has to be spot clean, because my house really never is. But, you know, when friends came over of my kids, they knew it wasn't that tidy. They could color without being worried that something went wrong. They could run around, and last weekend we even had a nerve fight in and outside the house. Those are the memories. Those are the things your kids will remember in the end. And, you know, no, they won't remember that the house was always clean. But they do remember that there was always food on the table, and that they were taken care of, and they were allowed to be whoever they are. So I hope you have a lovely day, night, week, weekend, and see or hear you next time. Bye. Oh, almost forgot. I want to mention that because just a couple of weeks ago I launched the Special Needs Supermom podcast. No, not the podcast, because that's been going on for 2 years, but the Special Needs Supermom.com website. So that's specialneedsupermom.com website. And you can find all the podcasts in there. I just uploaded a few blogs with tips, and I'm going to upload more material, including resources, tips, quotes by Wonderboy and Supergirl, because seriously, our kids are the best cheerleaders often out there. We should listen more to sometimes how they see us. Like Wonderboy said yesterday, "Mom, you really are a star." I love that boy. And, you know, if you really struggle with over planning, underestimating time, check out the Special Needs Supermom planner that's on the website. This is the planner I created for myself, really, when I got my burnout and realized I overplan, underestimate time, and it made a ton of difference. And you have a printable version and a digital version. And for the moms that already have their own great planner, because there are so many great planners out there, but would love to help, get some help with tracking the health of their kids. Part of the Super Mom Planner is a health tracker I created. I use it mostly for Wonderboy, but it helped with Supergirl as well, where you can just every day write down, you know, from not only what happens around breakfast and lunch and dinner, but also at school, for instance, or at certain activities. And you can just write down the way you want things that happened, meltdowns, for instance. And if you write it down every day, you will notice after 2 or 3 weeks, you might notice if there's a pattern or not. You know, if you can see that your kid only has meltdowns on Tuesdays and Fridays when they come home from school, and it's always like that, you might be able to find out what triggered your kids. And the same goes for, they both had their, mostly Wonderboy with food, we thought at least, that because he was always complaining about food. But when I started tracking, when he was complaining about his stomach, we quickly found out that it has to do with going to school. Thank God we changed schools. But also when we had to go somewhere and when something new was coming up. Guaranteed stomach ache. And always in the morning or always before we went somewhere. Never afterwards. Always before. So it helped us realize, we needed to help him with expectations and anxiety and self-work, really. So now we're already talking for, I'm already talking for 35 minutes. I hope you have, again, a lovely day, evening, weekend, or week. And I speak or hear from you next time. Bye.